was the stuff fantasies were made of. The actual mating part would not be a hardship with her. His wolf stood to attention, rumbling happily inside his head even as he wanted to snarl at every male in the room watching her with lust. The animal part of him had a thing for his soon-to-be mate, which should make things easier, since the animal inside him usually didn't like anyone. Mine. The mating pheromones they were both releasing surged to life. It happened with all wolf-shifter matings, and even stronger for alphas, but this was unlike anything he'd ever experienced. He took her hand, and the strangest sensation, like a settling, overcame him at her soft touch. This was how the earth felt when the wind stilled and the sun shone down. On the back of the settling came a kick of need so violent his dick pressed against the zipper of his pants, thick and throbbing. He wasn't entirely sure if that were the pheromones or his sincere reaction to her. Thankfully, the ceremony wrapped up in short order. The wedding portion of wolf-shifter matings tended to be brief, as, thanks to those pheromones, everyone was itching to get to the actual mating ceremony. He'd played it cool up until now. Though he doubted others noticed, Tala was definitely skittish, and he hadn't wanted to scare her off. But tonight, time to claim his mate. Yearning and anticipation hung heavy in the air as he led his bride down the aisle, the gathering following behind in a building silence. Together they made their way out of the chapel, their paths lit by the cool glow of moonlight. They walked along the river and over a wooden bridge that led them into the woods beyond, the peaks towering above, black outlines in a midnight sky. Once deep in the woods, the wedding guests stopped, allowing Marrok and Tala to continue on into the trees alone. Marrok had prepared a place for them to mate in private. Despite the offer of help from many women in the pack, he'd insisted on creating this haven on his own, and an odd urge to make this moment entirely between Tala and him, with no other eyes or opinions, had driven that decision. Too late now if she didn't like what he'd done. "Stop here," he said. She glanced his way, an alpha's instinctual need to balk at an order in her gaze, but did as he asked. "Close your eyes." Now she frowned, and a smile tugged at his lips. He knew what he was asking. They were both fighters, predators. Instinct screamed to watch another predator closely. He was asking for her trust. She gave him a long, hard stare, then slowly closed her eyes. Victory surged through Marrok, pumping even more desire into his veins like shots of adrenaline. He allowed himself a brief moment to study his mate. Flawless skin, high cheekbones, feline slanted eyes of startling green currently hidden from him. Gorgeous. "Are you going to stand there staring?" Tala kept her eyes closed, but cocked a single eyebrow in question. Marrok chuckled. "Just admiring what's now mine." Something flickered across her expression, but with her eyes closed, he didn't catch the emotion. Marrok pulled one of her hands through his arm. "Keep your eyes closed." Taking care so that she wouldn't stumble, he parted a curtain of vines that appeared to cover solid rock, but, once drawn back, revealed a tunnel large enough to stand in. He led her inside, where the air caressed their skin, cool and damp. Their footsteps, particularly with her sky-high heels — what kind of woman wore stilettos in the woods — echoed off the stone floor, the noise pinging around them. Tala's nose twitched. "Are we in a cave? It smells like wet rock." "Maybe. Not much farther." Unable to not touch her any longer, he circled his thumb over the pulse point on her wrist. Her small gasp fed his growing satisfaction. As they moved down the tunnel, a rushing sound of water grew louder and louder. Finally, he led them into a small chamber behind a waterfall. A light mist swirled around the room, which he'd lit with thousands of twinkle lights. Wanting to provide a luxurious and comfortable setting, he had brought in cushions, silk, satin, chenille, any soft materials, all in the same emerald green as his new mate's eyes, and strewn them about the cave. "Open your eyes." Unaccustomed nerves gripped him as she slowly lifted her eyelids and took in the scene he'd